My name is Ishani Das. I'm a high school senior from Cupertino High School in California. My life experience is not that long. To be exact, 16 years, 6 months, and 23 days ago, I arrived in this world. Today, I will share some of my observations, realizations, and inspirations during my limited span of life. To set the context of my talk today, I will start with a few latest statistics from various U.S. government agencies. As per the U.S. Census Bureau, the poverty level has been hovering between 10 to 15% for the past 50 years in the United States of America. Another statistic from the U.S. Census Bureau clearly indicates that education has a linear relationship on the employability and probability of getting added to the labor force. As shown by this chart here, individuals who are not a high school graduate have a much smaller proportion of population in the labor force compared to individuals who have a bachelor's degree or higher. If we look a bit closer and try to see the relationship of income to type of education, this chart from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics clearly shows that higher education has a higher payoff. For example, as shown on the left, the median weekly earnings of someone with a doctoral degree is close to $1,909, whereas with someone who has less than a high school diploma, it is merely $626. Additionally, the unemployment rate for someone with a doctoral degree is 1.5%. However, for someone who has less than a high school diploma, it is 8.3%. Recent studies show that due to technological advancements, workers with specific science and technology skills are in higher demand. As a matter of fact, this is always about supply and demand. But what changed today is that education and skills in science and technology are in higher demand. And that leads to another core part of my talk today. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that STEM, i.e. science, technology, engineering, and math, education has more than double income potential than non-STEM fields. As shown here, the median annual wage for a STEM occupant is $95,420 in 2021. Whereas for non-STEM occupants, it is $40,120. These basic statistics show that education is arguably one of the primary factors that causes income inequality. During middle school, I also learned that of the 616 Nobel laureates in physics, science, medicine, and physiology from 1901 to 2019, only 19 were women. In addition, 49.2% of women who originally intend to major in science and engineering as a first year switch to a non-STEM major. And the same is true for 32.5% of men. Since then, I was convinced that there are serious diversity issues in education, and more specifically, STEM education. And these result in inequality of earning, quality of life, and empowerment. Since I first heard it in second grade, I was very influenced by a famous quote by the greatest American polymath of all time, Benjamin Franklin. He once said, "An investment in knowledge pays the best interest." So we all have questions. And since middle school, I always wondered, why is there social inequality? And more specifically, what is the biggest reason for this? What can empower people in the true sense and remove such inequality? I used to ask myself basic questions. How can a country or society expect to thrive when all its citizens do not have the most important tool, which is education? There are many diverse ideas and thought leadership around this, and sometimes we often dismiss each other's thoughts right away. When people are never given the chance to learn and develop their skills, how can they unlock their potential and be productive and successful in their careers? They will always be seen as less valuable than others who have access to education and the ability to sharpen their skill sets. This impacts their employability, career, pay, and quality of life. When someone struggles economically, it is likely it will have a ripple effect on their kids and family. This becomes a vicious cycle until something tangible is done to break it. Tangible is a key word. I observed that we, as citizens, the government, and politicians talk a lot about what can be done to break poverty and equalize society. There are so many problems and so many ideas to solve global issues, but at the end, sometimes we overlook the simplest opportunity, which can give the greatest ROI. As it turns out, education is the ticket to break this cycle, and the return on investment is extremely high. I spent hours and hours reading articles, watching videos, and reading posts to understand the causes and effects of this process in my own way. One day, while talking to my dad, I made a mental model for myself to visualize this. It starts with opportunity, exposure, and inspiration. When you have all three, it will generate the motivation, love, and passion for learning. And once you have the love and passion for learning, you will truly gather the knowledge and skills that will stay with you for life. And once you learn true knowledge and skills, you'll be able to apply that knowledge and skills in a meaningful way. And these will generate rewards and recognition. And these rewards and recognition will translate to income that will improve quality of life. And this will eventually break the vicious cycle of generational poverty and inequality. I realized it all starts with opportunity. And to be honest, there's a lot of effort and focus on the opportunity aspects from governments and many other institutions in our society, as opposed to providing and instrumenting the exposure and inspiration. As per a 2011 Harvard Business Review article, in a culture obsessed with measuring talent and ability, we often overlook the important role of inspiration. Inspiration awakens us to new possibilities by allowing us to transcend our ordinary experiences and limitations. Inspiration propels a person from apathy to possibility and transforms the way we perceive our own capabilities. Inspirations may sometimes be overlooked because of its elusive nature. Well, I have a mental model now. I figured out the cause and effect in my own way. What will I do about it? Questions started popping into my mind since 7th grade. I can rant, rave, be upset, but if I don't take action, I'm not doing anything to change the situation. Then, of course, the very next thing that comes to my mind is, what can I possibly do? I'm just one person and I have limited experience. So, when we have questions, I started doing what possibly every Gen Z will do. I started Googling it. Nothing on the internet, Instagram, or TikTok seemed to help me. And honestly, this question was haunting me throughout my middle school years. But finally, during the tail end of my middle school, during 8th grade, I tried to narrow this down by answering 3 questions. A, what problem do I care about and what am I trying to solve? B, what skills do I have to solve that problem? And C, what do I enjoy most? And bingo, that gave me the answer. A, I realized that education can be the biggest equalizer in society and that every child should have access to education to sharpen their skills. B, I am a student. During my 7th grade, I got introduced to something called Arduino programming by my dad. It is a very small microcontroller, which is essentially a small computer without a screen and keyboard. And using this, someone can make really cool science and IoT projects. My dad's friend, Mr. Chen, was very generous and dropped off a used Arduino kit at our house, which was used by his son in the past. And using that very kit, I built my first wearable sensor for the visually impaired and got multiple awards at the Synopsis Science Fair. I was elated and started immersing myself more and more in this. I thought it was fun, and this was something I can also teach other kids, and it's a great way to get introduced to the world of engineering and programming. This can indeed be a chain reaction of learning, where one student learns and gets inspired from other students, as opposed to a traditional learning environment where learning happens via instructions, which sometimes kids may interpret as commands. And C, I realized I like building stuff. I always found science to be boring unless there was a science project associated with it. One where I can touch and feel things, where I can make, break, and iterate over and over to get improvised results. So in 2019, I took my first baby step. I wanted to see how I can share my knowledge and skills in a fun way so that kids get inspired in building Arduino projects. I identified 3 elementary school children in my community: my elder sister's best friend's sister, and my dad's colleague's son and daughter. I had my first Arduino programming class on our home dining room table. The kids were so delighted and found it really fun. Soon after that, I started We Love STEM with 3 of my friends from different Bay Area high schools. And 4 years since then, we are proud to say that today, WLS is a global organization which is run completely by high school students from various countries around the globe. And our primary mission is to inspire a love for STEM education amongst kids, especially students from underprivileged and under-resourced communities at a very young age. We believe that a genuine love for STEM will motivate them to continue their STEM education and make a career in STEM that will eventually translate to better pay, improve life for themselves, as well as future generations. We have now served 450 plus students across the globe, and we also have presence in 4 countries. We have run many year-long programs, workshops, summer programs, guest speaker events, and even hackathons. Our work has been recognized by the city of Cupertino, San Jose, U.S. Congress representatives, the media, and in addition, many of our volunteers have received the Presidential Volunteer Service Award. Many of our students who shied away from STEM classes during elementary school are now taking advanced science and math classes in middle and high school, and even running engineering and robotics type STEM clubs in their own schools. We feel that we could successfully ignite the love for STEM in their minds via our programs. We also get support from many patrons in different ways. For example, companies like Cisco, Google, LinkedIn, Amazon's, PayToSense, and different Bay Area cities like the city of Cupertino and city of San Jose have helped us during our journey. We learned a lot during this time. For example, we learned what works well and what does not. We also learned about kids' psychology. We faced practical problems and obstacles and learned how to collaborate, work together, and overcome these. We learned that kids in this young age can connect to other teenage high schoolers better and learn from them. Many We Love STEM parents told us and personally thanked us for how we helped their kids learn to love STEM, from their chapter directors who are all high school students compared to other adults, even their parents. We also learned that consistency matters. Instead of serving many students in very short courses, we worked with small groups of children throughout the year. Every week on specific STEM topics to get a more tangible outcome where we can see very long-lasting and sustainable impact in the kids via improved school grades, more active participation in group discussions and collaborative projects, attending classes in a regular way, and getting engaged in STEM clubs and activities in their school, as well as taking harder STEM classes as they progress through middle and high school. In the end, what I truly believe is that we can do our part beyond the work that is happening by governments, schools, universities, other NGOs, and social entrepreneurs. Isn't it about time on how we can leverage the tools and resources that we have and multiply the effect of bringing in change by doing our part to unleash the potentials in every child, in every girl, be it in Oakland, California, or a remote village in Tinsukia in Northeast India, or even Kingston City in Jamaica, to enable them so that they can surprise us by showing us what they can accomplish and how they can change the world by learning STEM. Thank you.